Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Sports Talk. It is Saturday, September 10th, 2022. I'm Daniel Blake. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, you can participate in the show at 876-997-3125. That's our WhatsApp number. 876-997-3125. As you know, or maybe you don't know, but today we'll be focusing on the track and field season. Track and field season basically ended on Thursday. So tell me some of your favorite moments. And it don't have to be like at the World Championships, Commonwealth Games. It can be at the Diamond League if you watch the NACAC Championships. If you boys and girls champs, some random meet that you so happen to go to. Just tell me some of your favorite moments from the track and field season. So 997-3125 is our WhatsApp number. Or if you want to, you can leave it in the comments on YouTube and Facebook where I am currently live. So leave that in the comment section and I will ensure to read that. By the way, speaking of YouTube and Facebook, you can watch the show on YouTube or Facebook. Go into the App Store on your smart device if you want to listen to the show a different way. Go in the Google Play or Apple Store and you download the Love 101 FM app, or you can go in your internet browser at love101.org and you hear everything. By the way, if you want to hear the show again, if you want to recommend it to a friend, family, somebody who loves sports, tell them that they can go into the app and the Sports Talk will be there so you can listen to it again, or YouTube and Facebook. The show is there forever. So just type in the day and you can listen live. So you don't have any excuse. When you say, oh, Daniel, I missed the show last week, it's there. All right. So listen there. All right. So we'll soon be joined by two excellent analysts, international sports commentator, track and field commentator, I like to say, Donald Smith, who has been on several times on the show over the last year because he is one of the best. So he returns maybe for the last time in 2022, who knows. And then we go over to Barbados because we have Marsha Boyce, who is a sports communicator. She hosts a popular podcast called the This Just In podcast. So you can expect great analysis in the next few minutes or so. So after the 1:15 break, we will talk about that. All right. So before I go into my monologue and my sports bits, I just want to say I can give birthday shout. Have I ever done a birthday show? Yes, I have. Maybe a few times. But today is my Uncle Junior's birthday. So Uncle Junior, if you're listening, happy birthday. My cousin Alika, she was earlier this week. So big up Alika. Today is what? September 10. Mommy is the 23rd. So next week, my big up mommy. All right. So let us go into the sports bits for this week. As you know, it's a mini sports report. So speaking of track and field, Shelley and Fraser Price and Shericka Jackson ended their seasons by winning diamond trophies at Thursday's meet in Zurich. Fraser Price beat Jackson to claim the 100-meter title in 10.65, her seventh sub-10.7 clocking this season. Seventh. That is crazy. Jackson, though, returned in the 200 meters and won in an impressive 21.80, a year after running 21.81 at the same venue. So congrats to Shelley and Shericka. Johan Blake narrowly missed out on a diamond trophy after finishing second in the men's 100 meters. Rashid Broadbell also just missed out in the men's 110-meter hurdles after losing to American world champion Grant Holloway, with Hansa Parchment third. Natoya Gould was also second in the women's 800 meters. Other Jamaicans who finished in the top three of their events were Brittany Anderson in the women's 100-meter hurdles, Janive Russell in the women's 400-meter hurdles, and Shanika Ricketts in the triple jump. So the ISA schoolboy football season returns today. 15 Da Costa Cup games are scheduled for today, highlighted by defending champions Garvey Macea battling Kemps Hill at Sabina Park at 2:30 p.m. Yes, as you know, the defending champions usually play at a neutral ground on the opening day. So even though the Da Costa Cup is rural area, they'll be playing just this game at Sabina Park today. Also at Sabina Park, two Manning Cup games will be on. Defending champions Kingston College, they'll take on Calabar at 5 p.m., while St. George's College play Arden at 7 p.m. Now, this season, matches will return to their usual home venues, and fans will be allowed back inside the stadium to watch their respective teams. Last year, matches were played at specific venues sanctioned by ISA, the organizing body, which also banned fans from attending due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It seemed like the pandemic ending, right? Or is it? No, there, if you were trying to find Premier League games this morning, there's none. Because the Premier League weekend was postponed due to the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. The decision was made on Friday after the football chiefs felt it would be a sign of respect to the Queen. The games next weekend could also be called off due to the funeral, which means there could be no more English football until October. Several other sporting events were called off, but cricket is currently being played, or I don't know if it finished right now, but horse racing and golf will also resume this weekend. Interesting. The Jamaica Talawas got their third win of the Caribbean Premier League campaign after beating Trinbago Knight Riders by 34 runs earlier. Batting first, the Talawas posted 153 for 7 with captain Rovman Powell top scoring with 67. And in reply, the Knight Riders were restricted to 119 for 8. And finally, Iga Swiatek, say me practice that, but I say it don't sound right, don't. But I think I sound right, Iga Swiatek will bid for a second Grand Slam trophy of the year, while Ons Jabeur seeks her first major in the US Open final starting at 3 p.m. The world number one is the French Open champion and previously won the clay court major in 2020. But fifth seed Jabeur reached the Wimbledon final in July, but lost from a setup against Elena Rybakina. On Sunday, Spanish teenager Carlos Alcaraz will battle Norway's Casper Ruud in the men's final as both seek their first major title. So that is the sports bits for this week. It is now time for the monologue, the Danielog.
Hi, this is David Blake.
This is Hope Blake.
I am Ariel Brown Blake.
I'm here to tell you right now.
It's time for the Danielog.
The Danielog.
The Danielog.
I love it.
Presented by no one.
All right, so because I have two wonderful guests who will speak until 2 p.m., I thought that I would use my monologue to tell you my top moment in track and field for this year. No, there were a lot. Being a huge Shelley fan, everything that she did was amazing. The Sharika one, when she ran 21.45, I had mixed emotions, and I tell you why. One part of me was super excited because I was just like, oh, she missed the world record by this much. If the wind was a little stronger, But the reason why it was mixed was because I said on my social media that if she didn't break the world record, I would upload a video of myself dancing to Ding Dong, right? And if anybody knows me, Daniel Blake cannot dance. So when she didn't break it, one part of me was like, whoa, somebody actually ran 21.45. But at the same time, I was like, how do I get dancing lessons in a week? But anyways, so my favorite moment of the track and field season was Sydney McLaughlin running 50.68 in the 400-meter hurdles. And it's obviously amazing. We've waxed lyrical about her since she did that, and years gone by. But the reason why it was so special is because Sydney, she just crossed the line and she just sit down on the track. It's just like, oh, I broke the world record. Okay, I'm tired. Let me just sit right here. It's like, oh, I did it. Okay. It just felt so nonchalant, right? Like she just did sub 51. And as you heard the comparison, Sydney should probably start running the 400 because the 400 flat, because imagine the times that she'd run there. But it's just that everybody was in amazement and she just sat on the track, you know, waiting for all this excitement to end, you know. So that was definitely my top moment for the year, simply because usually when people break world records, it's just like a major thing. You run around the track, you jump for joy, you're almost stunned, but it's just like she's like, oh, okay, let me catch my breath. You know. So that was my favorite moment. But overall, 2022 was such a great year for track and field, especially because maybe for the first time in history, maybe when Donald and Marsha come on, I'll ask them this. But I can't recall the last time there were so many events in one year. I don't think this has ever happened. Obviously, the pandemic played a role, but there was the World Championships, there was the Commonwealth Games, there was every region's major championships. So the European Championships, Asian Championships, African Championships, the South American ones. If you want to call NACAC, even though NACAC needs a bit of a boost. And then you had the World Under-20 Championships. You had all the Diamond League events, who had a full slate this year because last year some couldn't be held due to the pandemic. And then you had the Continental Tour Gold. You had so much. And by the way, you had boys and girls champs in sort of full-fledged, even though the stadium could not be filled at the time because we're still at the hot stage of the pandemic. But there was so much track and field this year. So I'm sure many of you, including myself, by the way, very grateful for this year. So even though 2020 robbed us of a full year of track and field, apart from some, events that were held to a very small scale, 2022 was nice, was real nice. And I hope it happens again. Not the pandemic, just a full year of track and field. Don't be ridiculous. All right, that is my monologue for this week. So enough of me. We are going into a break. And when we come back, we'll have Donald and Marsha, who will talk about some of the top moments of the year. So stay with us.
Jamaica's gangs are like packs of rats.
Nasty.
They live in filth and try and drag us all in there with them, spreading the disease of violence and corruption everywhere.
Nasty.
But like a pack of rats, they can be eliminated with your help. If you have information on gangs, call Crime Stop on 311. This message is brought to you by Crime Stop and their marketing partners, Lime and NCB.
Make an impact on your career. Earn real money. Get 3 to 4 local and international certification in practical nursing and early childhood education with free CXC or CAPE subjects in 6 to 12 months at Distinction College, located at 26 Hagley Park Road, Kingston, 6 Nugent Street, Spanish Town, and Ocho Rios. Earn global certificates in 3 months in geriatric nursing, phlebotomy, childcare. We have the lowest school fees around. Classes begin very soon. Call us 356-4167.
So we're back in the saddle again. As a teacher, how do you feel about going back to school? What are your concerns, your fears, your worries? What solutions do you have? What are your hopes and expectations? Monday, September 12th on Family Time, join hosts O'Neill Campbell and Tamika Walters and guests Sophia Clark, Ramon Davis, and Marsha Lawrence Davids as they discuss the topic Back to School Teachers Talk. That's Family Time, Monday, September 12th at 5:30 p.m. right here on the Family Station, Love 101.
Welcome back to Sports Talk here on Love 101, the Family Station. The track and field season, unfortunately, is over, but we saw some amazing performances throughout the year at all levels, senior and junior, and we hope to get through most of that. Easier said than done, because, as you know, we usually try and not so successful, but today might be the day. Because, track and field, they can literally talk about it till 5 p.m. Literally. Unfortunately, I don't have that time. And so let me stop wasting time. All right, first, usually I do ladies first, but let me introduce Donald first because I want to save the best for last. So, international track and field commentator Donald Smith joins us. Donald, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Daniel. Good afternoon to the listeners of Love 101. Thanks for having me again. Looking forward to a great conversation.
All right, great. And then I had to go all the way to Barbados. And I am now joined by Marsha Boyce. She is a sports communicator, also the host of the This Just In podcast. Marsha, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Daniel, for the invite. And Donald, it's good to see you again.
Great to see you as well, Marsha.
Yeah, you guys were in Eugene at the same time while I was here in Jamaica having
Yes.
on.
Yes, we were.
So,
and what a time it was.
Certainly. Very exciting.
All right, rub it in my face. But anyways, before we sort of get into the specifics, let me start with you, Marsha. How would you assess the overall track and field season? As I mentioned, it was an extremely packed year. Did you leave satisfied as a track and field fan, or did you want more?
Well, Daniel, as you mentioned moments ago, we were really spoilt in this 2022 season. And some of my friends were saying years ago, from the time the Olympics were pushed back and we realized, okay, World Championships were going to be in 2022, we knew it was going to be pace, essentially. And as a fan, I think we were spoiled for choice. Now that the Diamond League is over, I'm going to have a bit of a withdrawal. Someone asked me, okay, so what are you going to watch? No, but we have Premier League and stuff to watch. So there's stuff to fill the gap, but definitely it really was a great track and field season, not only from a spectator perspective, but the athletes themselves. When you look at the number of championship records, world records, national records, personal best that we saw coming into the season, it really continued from the Olympic Games, where we saw that kind of performance from our athletes in the Olympics, and it really carried over into 2022. The athletes really wanted to get out there and show what they could do.
Yeah, I don't think I should ask this to Donald, because if there's one event, you'll be satisfied. But how would you assess the overall track season?
It was great, as Marsha mentioned. We had an overabundance of track meets this season. It helped that we had week in, week out meets as well. So you really had a full compact season. I think that it was good. I think given the amount of meets that we had this year, the athletes were able to manage, because if you look at it, track and field is probably one of the few sports that it's a continental type of thing. You keep hopping almost week in, week out. And to be able to manage that and still give very good performances, many personal best, meet records, world records in the process, says a lot to the improvement in how athletes are managing themselves year in, year out. So The short of it, I think it was a wonderful season. The only thing I would probably change is probably have the World Championships a little later on in the calendar, but we understand why it was a bit earlier than it normally was.
Yeah, and I was having this conversation maybe a few days ago. Usually, when the Olympics ends or when the World Championship ends, there seems to be a bit of a lull. But last year, we saw that, there were still some extreme high level performances. We saw it with Elaine going 10-5. This year, Shelly Ann still going 10-6. Do you think that athletes are now more motivated, despite there being a major championships like in a year? So they're no longer looking to just dominate at the World Championships or the Olympics, but on the circuit as well.
To Donald or Marsha?
Or to both.
Well, what I'll say is that, the benefit of performing or running even faster or going to other meets is that it's a payday for most athletes. So the World Championships, if you don't get to the final, it's not a payday for you. So a lot of the athletes, this is their bread and butter. So the other meets that exist outside of a major championships is where they'll earn most of their money, whether it's in appearance fee or if they run and win, they get prize money. So you'll find that maybe that will play a hand in them performing even better outside of a major championships. And some athletes just want to be consistent. We heard Shelly said before the start, or at the start of the season, that she wanted to run 10-5. She wasn't able to do that, but it's a motivation for her. So we would have seen that after the World Championships, her aim, was to get that 10-5. It didn't happen, but that was her motivator. And maybe for other athletes as well, they had rather things that objectives that they would have established at the start of the season that they want to achieve. And if it didn't come in the major championships that they would have participated in, then these other secondary meets, so want of a better term, would have been basically the stage for them to at least try and get that. So that may be why you'd see some of those big performances outside of the World Championships.
Definitely, I agree with you, Donald. There's that economic factor. I once heard an athlete say, if you don't run, you don't eat. And that's basically how it is for some people. There are also the performances bonuses built into their respective contracts as well. So those are targets they look to hit. And then you also get the sense of, when it comes to the Diamond League, oftentimes, you don't have run rounds. And some athletes, they have a challenge managing rounds, having to conserve and hold back because you have another race to run. But on the Diamond League circuit, you might be running just one race that day. You can just let it all out. And sometimes you can try a different race plan, make adjustments that you probably wouldn't meddle with at a major championship. So you're more likely to see athletes sometimes leaving it all on the track because, okay, we can shut down tonight and we have time to recover before the next meet, as opposed to having to come back and run round 2 the next day.
Yeah. By the way, to everyone who is listening and watching, the top moments will obviously be subjective. And I will go subjective to you, Marsha, because we Jamaicans, when we don't get, let's say, at least 5 medals, there is major chaos. But you had Sade Williams, who goes to the World Championships, gets bronze, gold at the Commonwealth. For those of us who don't really understand the dynamic there in Barbados track and field, how major was it to have her do what she did in 2022?
Well, Sade has had a brilliant season. You can call me Sade Williams' #1 fan, because Sade was one of the reasons I actually went to the World Championships, because we had that sense, something is going to happen and we need to be there to see it. She's been improving tremendously. She trains in Jamaica with MVP. She's been improving tremendously over the years. And as someone coming back from injury, is really heartening to see what she has been able to achieve thus far. To put her achievement into perspective, our last World Championship gold medal came in 2009 from Ryan Brathwaite. Here we are in 2022 receiving our second World Championship medal this time a bronze. Our last Commonwealth gold medalist came in the 1990s with Andrea Blackett. Now here we are in 2022 getting another Commonwealth gold medalist. She's also the NACAT silver medalist, Diamond League finalist, finishing in third. She's now the national record holder after that 49.75 in Eugene. Consistency for me has been one of the hallmarks of her season. I love that she is regularly now running under sub 50, and it has just been heartening to watch her develop from a young athlete at the Coaching Prairie School and then later Harrison College to now dominating on the world stage. I would love for the commentators to learn how to pronounce her name. That is my number one pet peeve, but we'll get there, because at the end of the day, she's the world championship bronze medalist, Commonwealth gold medalist, now Diamond League third place finalist. Like, you have to get the name right. So for anybody listening, it's Sade Williams.
Listen, Marsha, Daniel, sorry to cut you. I have told them, because I remember at the National Stadium, I think it was one of the meets prior to our national championships, and Sade ran. And I, at that time, for some strange reason, said Sada. And I remember Jordan Fort, he did a spot interview with her. And Jordan started by saying, by the way, guys, it's Sade, you know. And from that point in time, you know, I make it a point of note to, you know, get it right, because athletes want to hear their name pronounced correctly. And the thing is that, you know, I've said this, you can get an athlete's name wrong during a race, but if they do win a medal and they go to medal ceremonies and you get it wrong, that's a stain, because the athlete will be like, this makes no sense anymore, you know. So, yep. You know, that's very important, getting the athlete's name correct.
Yeah, and to sort of put that into perspective, I know this isn't track and field related, but imagine you're graduating and somebody calls you a different name that your parents never give you. I've been called David my entire life, even no, because my brother's name is David. But what's amazing to me is that people who don't know that I have a brother call me David. I'm just like, huh? But anyways, off that. Speaking of, Shelly had such a fantastic year. Yesterday, it was on Thursday, I said, I can't remember any athlete who had such a dominant year, Donald. To go sub 10-7 7 times, world champion, 5-time Diamond League winner now. She got silver in the 200, which is kind of like swept under the rug because of what Sharika did. But knowing that she's doing this at 35, how special would you say this year has been compared to even some of the greats?
Oh, that's a very loaded question. You know, Shelly is something else. You know, being 35, which is a good age, by the way, being 35 and being able to be consistent is something that we don't often see, especially in track and field. Yeah. And I think it just goes to show the type of a woman that she is and how she motivates herself, because frankly speaking, she has pretty much done it all. I think the only thing left for her to do is probably break the world record. But outside of that, she has frankly done it all where 100 meters at least is concerned. You know, 7 times below 10.7 this season, fastest 10.62. It just shows that she has a lot left to go. And you know, going back to Thursday, if you look at the race that she would have run where she lost to Sharika the week before, you know, many would have thought that, well, yeah, maybe that niggle that she had before, you know, was having an impact on her in that race. And then she came back on Thursday and ran what I thought was one of her best 100-meter races this year. It begs the question, potentially, if she was 100%, maybe we would have seen her go below the 10.6 mark. But it just showed the type of consistency that Shelly and Fraser Price has and continues to put on the track. And she remains one of a very few group of athletes to have left the MVP and gone elsewhere and improved. And, you know, I'm hoping that for the 2023 season, that improvement continues, because as you could have seen I think she has a lot left to go, a lot left to go where track and field is concerned. Maybe we'll also see her focusing on just the short sprint as well. Who knows? But we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
yeah,
For
and
me,
Mark,
I'm just absolutely amazed every time Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce steps on the track. And you mentioned consistency, but not only consistency, there's a dominance in because she could be consistently running 10.8, which would still be good at 35 years old.
yeah,
But dominating and the way she's really put her mark on 2022. She said in that post race, I'm really going to try to go under the 10.6 next season. And just to hear her speak with such enthusiasm that she still has a desire for this year after year after year, and being able to match that desire with actual performance, because sometimes you find athletes as they get older, their body can frustrate them because the will is there, but the body really isn't able. But in her case, she's able to turn out, and she's had a fantastic 2022, and it has been a joy to see her this season.
yeah. Sticking with you, Marsha, because her countrywoman Shericka Jackson also had a fantastic year. The highlight being that 21.45 at Eugene. Knowing that she was a consistent 400-meter runner just a few years ago, does it make her performances like even more special, knowing that she is still fairly new to this and going up against the likes of Shelly and Delane?
Definitely. I know I'm very excitable when it comes to track and field. So let me put that disclaimer out there. But one of the athletes that really excites me is Shericka Jackson. You knew she was a sprinter in her younger days at champs and so forth. And I always say, when you can match that speed with that quarter mile of strength, it's the perfect combination for a 200-meter runner. And I just love to see her running that event. Had Sade Williams not won the bronze medal in Eugene, her performance, that championship record in the 200, would have been the performance of the world championships for me. I truly enjoy seeing Shericka run. And as you said, she's really new to the event, or she's compared to some of the others, and she has so much more to give. And you really can see when that extra gear chucks in, so to speak, and it is a joy to watch. I personally believe under the right conditions at the right event, she can really break that world record. Hopefully it's something that I can see live and direct one day. And I think generally when you look at the 200 meters as an event, she will have people to push her. And that's what I like. You'll have Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce, you'll have Elaine Thompson, Gabby Douglas, she's now coming back from injury, Abby Steiner, Christine Mbama. If we can get all of these ladies healthy in one race, I believe that world record can go with Shericka really leading from the front.
Yeah, and Donald, as Marsha mentioned, the 200 meters has a lot of competition. So the mere fact that the people that she's competing against are almost natural 200 runners, it just feels a little more special knowing that she is now the face of the event. If I'm making any sense to you.
Yeah, man, you're making a lot of sense. I mean, the way with which Shericka has run that 200 meters this season, it begs the question, what are the other athletes really doing? Because prior to her really dominating at the early part of the season, one of the names that you kept hearing was Abby Steiner. Abby was running superbly on the collegiate circuit, and many thought that she was a shoe-in to win a medal, potentially gold, in that 200 meters in Eugene. Now, fast forward to Eugene, and Jackson, who would have done creditably well right through, even at the national championships in Jamaica, would have gone on and then say, "Hey guys, this is an event that I'm used to. You may have thought that I'm a quarter miler, which yes I am, but back in high school she was an out and out sprinter as well. So it just goes to show the type of potential that she has left when it comes on to 200 meters. And yeah, she's a face. If you listen to the commentator during the Zurich Diamond League final, he sounded disappointed. Chris Temple, he sounded disappointed at the end, because close to the finish line, he was like, let's watch the clock, because in his mind, that world record should have gone this year. and it just goes to show the type of athlete that the world is now seeing her to be, and it's great. And as you said as well, Marsha, that when we get the other ladies fit, Gabby Thomas, the Embomas, the Steiners, right throughout.
Mm-hmm.
It
Shawnee
is
Miller-Rebo probably coming down and specializing.
quite so. It may and even in Lane Thompson getting
Yep.
back to some peak shape, it will very likely be a very quick race if you have all of those ladies fit in that one race, and potentially that world record could go.
Yeah, the women's sprints, are at an all-time high. In contrast,
Never disappoints.
yeah. In contrast, over the last few years, not just from a Jamaican perspective, but it felt like the men's sprints were it was just not as attractive, and yes, Bolt had a huge part to playing that. But when we saw athletes now running low, sub 10 seconds or just under, or going like 19.9, it just felt like we needed something fresh. From what you have seen this season, Marsha, with Fred Curley dropping down and doing 9.7s and 9.8s consistently, Noah Lyles and Arian Knighton going head to head, looking like they want to break the record maybe next year or maybe the following year. Is the men's sprints getting back to a stage that interests you, or do you think that this is just maybe a possible fluke year?
I think definitely in the 200 meter for sure. The men's 200 meter is shaping up to be a competitive event, especially for the next couple of years going into the Olympic Games. All eyes will be on Noah Lyles. We know he's going after that record. He's adamant he's going to get the record, and he's been putting in sometimes a 19.3, etc., to show what the potential is there. Arian Knighton, as you mentioned, Kenny Bednarik. I am a Joseph Famboulé fan. I would love him to get a start coach so we can get him in the mix, because I really think he can do some damage with a better start as well. So definitely for me personally, the excitement is there for the men's 200 meters. The men's 100 meters, on the other hand, is kind of a mixed bag, but while we had the US sweep at World Championships, I still kind of like the diversity in countries being represented that we're seeing in the men's 100 meters. So it isn't really such a bad thing. This year we had some, injuries, Lamont Jacobs being out and so forth, the grass recovering from COVID. So it wasn't your typical everybody being fit and ready to take the line type of year. But I'm also pleased with some of the other names we're seeing, like the under 20 champion, Tebogo of Botswana. We have the Commonwealth champion, Omanyala of Kenya, looking to come through. So Jacobs, he's Italian. So I'm liking the diversity of countries being represented in the male sprints, but as it relates to performances, a little bit underwhelming. And as you mentioned, we might have been a bit spoiled because at the end of the day, 9.7, 9.8, they're not awfully bad times, but we've been so spoiled with the likes of Usain Bolt and Johan Blake in his time, even Asafa Powell producing those, 9.7s and so forth consistently, that it has kind of skewed our expectations. But definitely looking forward to the men's 200 meter a bit more than the 100.
Yeah, Donald, for you?
Definitely agree with Marsha on that. A couple of things. When it comes on to Noah Lyles, I think he is the real article when it comes on to the 200 meters. Getting the record on the other hand, though, I don't think he's as relaxed as he needs to be to break it. I think he's too focused on the record.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in Eugene, that final, I thought that was his most relaxed race all season. Yeah. And if you saw the curve that he ran, I actually thought that record was going to be challenged, to be honest. But it shows you that how much of a huge talent Bolt was, because and even Blake, because 1919, 1926, these are no baby times. Mm-hmm. Noah gave his all in Eugene and still managed to only break the American record in the process. Now, Lyles, as I said, until he relaxes, I don't see him getting that record anytime soon. It may come, but we can't be for certain. But I agree with you, Marsha, that the 200 meters has the most excitement as it stands, where the men's sprint is concerned. Because even if you go to the 400 meters, this year was pretty much the most open year it has been in quite a while. Same with the 100 meters. We saw it in the Zurich Diamond League final. I thought Ian Blake had a great chance to win. Persons thought, Ian can win. I said it. Listen, the field was very open. And when you look at the type of performances from the persons in that race, the eventual winner, Brummel, was the only person with a faster time than Blake this season. And I thought, had he gotten a better start, it would have been closer. But I say that to say this, that I'm definitely in agreement with Marsha where it comes on to the 200 meters. That's where the excitement will be for the time being. Yes, big names are coming up in the 100 meters. And from a Jamaican perspective, I'm really happy about the prospects that we have. Oblique Seville made the final, finished just outside the medals in Eugene. The young Blake also there as well. That's Akeem Blake. So the excitement is building once more. Will it get to the 200 meters excitement next year? We just have to hope and see.
Yeah. Just a small point on that, because when it comes to like football discussions, right, there are a lot of people who think that one or two teams dominating, so like Manchester United and Liverpool dominating, is a bad thing for football. Marsha made a very good point in that, is it really a bad thing that there is no one individual to look out for? Should we be more open to almost anybody can win the 100 instead of a rivalry that we're used to? So no Asafa and Gay or Bolt versus Gatlin. It's just like who comes on the day wins. Is that truly a bad thing?
I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but unfortunately, I guess we've been conditioned that way with track and field being, an individual sport. A lot of the marketing, a lot of the hype is built around the rivalry, the head-to-head, or a record-breaking opportunity. Those are the two ways things tend to lean. So we like to see that head-to-head, and it's marketed and promoted that way. There is room for the purists, I could say, to have a field where it's anybody's game, but particularly for a major championship, sometimes with a very open field, it tends to be a bit iffy. I don't know, maybe if that's something inherent to track and field, that we don't necessarily like it's anybody's race at the senior level, maybe at the junior level, but not so much at the senior level. We like to see the top athletes in the world dominating. But who knows? That might be changing.
Yeah, your quick thoughts on that, Donald. Is it a bad thing?
It's not necessarily a bad thing, as Marsha mentioned. I think with football, it's more clubs, so you get attached to the clubs. But when it comes to like track and field, apart from it being individualistic, you pretty much see an athlete representing a country, even though they have a shoe sponsor. When you look at the meets, Jamaican, American, Britain, etc. So you get attached to an athlete just by virtue of them being up from your country. So in your mind is that, this athlete is the athlete that you want to win. And that's why people loved Bolt, because from a Jamaican perspective, or even from a Caribbean perspective, Bolt represented all of us. And because he was dominant, everybody loved that. Maybe the Americans didn't like that, but the world loved it as well. And that was because persons could pretty much see him representing them in that case. So there's I guess a sense of national pride then, or regional pride associated with him. Whereas with juxtaposing it with a football, for example, Manchester United, that's my club. So if they dominate, yeah, man, fine. But otherwise, no, we can't have that. Totally opposite with track and field.
Yeah, Great points. This is why I have you guys. All right, so we have to go into a short commercial break, and we still have so much more to talk about, which is crazy. And remember, guys, you can leave your comments 997-3125 on our WhatsApp line. Tell us your favorite moments of the track and field season. We'll be back with Marsha and Donald after this quick break, so stay with us here on Sports Talk.
Just got better with a new prime router bundle on Digicel, Jamaica's #1 LTE network. Serious? With up to 12 gigabytes of any-use data, up to 2,000 minutes for calls, plus dedicated data on Digicel apps, which now includes data for Spotify, Apple Music, and HBO Max. There's no better plan for all your content needs this summer. Say less. Me ain't gonna get a plan up on the My Digicel app. Mr. Brata! Activate a prime router bundle today for as low as $175.
Need to pass your CSEC CAPE exams to get that dream job or to qualify for university? Then Distinction College is the school for you. We have locations in Kingston, Spanish Town, St. Elizabeth, and Ocho Rios. Start day, evening, and Saturday classes this coming term and sit CSEC CAPE exams for January's resit or May, June. Maths, law, science, English. We have the lowest school fees. Register before the end of the month and win an entire term free. Call us at 354-8560.
You know what, sweet? The new pack Sweet Living promotion. Win great prizes.
Bedroom set, living room set, kitchen appliance set, plus TVs and monthly cash prizes.
Send in 5 new pack labels. Labels must belong to at least the new pack corned beef, new pack Vienna sausages, and sauces categories.
Below the tagline, new pack, more than just value.
Place your entry in one of the drop boxes at participating outlets or enter by mail. Time to live sweet. Enter the new pack Sweet Living promotion. August 28th to November 19th. See the press for more details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act.
Get off to a smart start with an awesome back-to-school deal from Digicel, guaranteed for success. Buy a SIM card for $600 and get 6 gigabytes of any-use LTE data, 10 gigabytes for social, and 300 local minutes for free. Plus, go postpaid. Pay as low as $2,200 plus GCT monthly for the first 2 months on a Prime bundle. Now, that's a smart way to start the new school year. Visit a Digicel store today. Digicel, made in Jamaica.
101.1, 101.3, 101.5, 101.7, 101.9. Love is all you need.
All right, welcome back to Sports Talk here on Love 101. We have 12 minutes, and looking at my list. Oh, yeah. Anyways, we'll work it out. All right, so as I mentioned at the start of the show during my monologue, the women's 400-meter hurdle, Sydney McLaughlin going 50.68. And even talking about it now, it still surprises me. Every time I watch the race again, it just leaves me in awe. Marsha, where would you rank that performance just in track and field history? Because as I mentioned, I still find it very hard to describe to somebody that she did it so easily.
Yeah, and I think the manner in which she did it is what adds to the aura surrounding it. Because coming into that World Championship final, you knew Sydney was going to break the record. Everybody expected her to break the record. But the question was, by how much? We didn't, at least I didn't expect her to literally obliterate the record by that much, taking it from that 51.4 to that 50.68. And as you know, that time would have put her around 7th in the flat 400 final. So for me, it was one of those races. After we left the stadium and everything, I had to go home and rewatch the race because it was like, okay. And you're watching the race, or watching every stage of the race, because it's like, this is an incredible time. And I think that because she isn't a she's a very quiet person. She's a soft-spoken person, and that's how her demeanor is. You didn't get that massive celebration at the end, and it almost feels as if, okay, so what's left for her to do in this event? I know there's a discussion about raising the height of women's hurdles because now they think it's too easy, etc. Well, that's a discussion for another time. Will she then put the 4 hurdles aside and run the flat 4, or will she look to even, shatter her own record again and again and again? That's something she will have to decide personally. But watching that race, for me, that was a phenomenal event. If I could say anything, the only damper on watching that live was having an American track and field crowd, because I think they're very sedate.
Yeah.
And like coming across the 200 meter mark, me and my friend wanted to jump up, but everybody around us was still sitting down. Like they only jumped at the end, but we could feel that momentum building, and we knew, okay, yes, this is going to be a magnificent time. So I was caught up in my emotions a bit, but it was really, really, really an impressive run to watch, and it will be interesting to see, what kind of shape she's going to come out in 2023, and then later on the Olympics in Paris as well. And it would also be interesting to know now, having set this mark, having run sub 51, what her personal targets would be as well.
Yeah. Speaking of hurdles, because Donald, we've spoken about Sydney back in July. Toby Amusan running the 2 fastest times in history, obviously one not being legal, but even Michael Johnson, who I think was a little disrespectful, but he still can't believe it up to this day, questioning the clock. Does that make her performance even more mind-blowing, that everybody is trying to find like a reason to not believe that she is the world record holder? Because even after, when she has competed on Diamond League circuit, people still giving, Jasmine Camacho Queen and everybody this high respect, but Toby Amusan is like the new world record holder. It feels like a fluke to them. So does that make her performance like even more special, knowing that people are almost questioning her and she still proves them wrong time and time again?
You hit the nail on the head, Daniel, because I thought that when persons started to question the 12-12, it immediately took away the gloss from that performance. And it started to make even persons who weren't questioning that run in the beginning kind of saying, maybe because of who the persons were who were putting out this narrative. And I think it shows the type of athlete that Toby is, because she took it in stride and she went back to the final and ran 12:06, albeit win aided. And then post World Championships, everybody was like, hey, she's not going to repeat that. There's a popular French journalist who I follow on Twitter, and he, throughout the Diamond League meets and some of the other meets where there's hurdles, he would say that they can think that she's going to do that again. It won't happen. And, somewhat cryptic in his tweets, but we could know that he was referring to Amusan. He's not a fan of her, obviously. And I'm not sure if it's a case of him pretty much not really being fond of Nigerians, because he does speak a lot about them, and it's not normally positive. So that could be the issue. But then when you go to totally dismiss the performance and dismiss the athlete, it doesn't help. And I think that Amusan is a fantastic athlete, and she showed us in the Diamond League final that, hey, I'm going to be here for a while, guys. Get used to it. And I definitely think that world record was no fluke. It was not a fluke. I think that the correct time was run. I have a lot of respect for the Seiko team. Those are the guys who are in charge of the timing system at the World Championships. And I spoke with some of the technicians, the engineers there, and the time is okay. So for persons who were in disbelief, and then what was being propagated by big names in the sport, that did not help. And I hope that next season Amusan breaks the record again, just to quiet some of the folks that have been somewhat doubting her performance. But that was one of my moments, top moments for the year as well, because I never thought that anyone was going to go below 12-2 this season at least. And I never saw Amusan, to be doing it, to be the one to do it. But I'm happy that she did.
Yeah, we have less than 5 minutes. We could talk about Duplantis, Rojas, Christian Che. We have so many at the senior level. So let's go down to the junior level because, as you mentioned, Marsha, Tebogo was absolutely unreal at the World Under-20 Championships, and the fact that he did it so arrogantly, it how great was it to know that not just Tebogo, but we have Nkrumah here of Jamaica. How great is it to know that the future of our sport seems to be in great hands?
It is fantastic. As a track and field fan, it is fantastic to see. I know people say, okay, he's arrogant, but for me, especially when it comes to individual sports, if you want to be a champion, you have to get up every morning and have the mentality that nobody in the world can beat me when you go on that line. And I don't think it's fair for us to expect people to perform this way but not have the mentality to accompany it, because on any given day when you step on that line, you honestly have to believe, you know what, I am the best in the world, nobody else can beat me. So I would lean toward confidence more so than arrogance. And as it relates to the juniors, you mentioned the males but also the females. Jamaica is spoiled for choice when it comes to, I mean, like, this pipeline is never going to end. We have the Clayton twins, we have Brianna Liston, Serena Cole coming out, all making their mark at the world youth level as well. The future of track and field is bright, and I am 100% excited for it.
Yeah, and a great way to end, Donald. The under-20 team breaking the record twice, one ratified, not calling Jadko's name, but oh, whoops. But how special was it for them, to do it twice and to even do it so late in the season when, usually our athletes usually taper down?
Well, it says a lot to the type of athletes that we had for that 4x1. Big disappointment to what would have happened after Carifta. And my only hope was that they would have run a bit faster to kind of kick that one out of the box. But what it meant as well, and we would have had this discussion before, is that the same team that ran in Nairobi was the same team that ran in Cali, but it wasn't the same team that ran in Kingston. So with that original record not being ratified, it took away from Brianna Liston, right? But the Cali run, would have given Karika Hill an opportunity again to get another record. And as you mentioned, to do it so late in the season, to be consistent that late in the season, it all goes well. And I think that the coaching has improved, because normally this late in the season, you won't find people running that fast, especially at the junior level, because after Carifta, Pen Relays, Champs, Carifta, Pen Relays, shut down the season for exams, it's hard to get them motivated. But I don't know what has changed, but this year has certainly shown that the coaches have been doing things differently to say, listen, let us look at the bigger picture. Let's not just train our charges to be ready for the high school championships, but to also get them ready for later in the year, late season championships like the World Under-20s, for example, or even the NACAC Under-20s as well. So that is something that I like, and I hope that it continues in the future, because then we'll potentially see even bigger performances by our youth teams when the season gets this old.
It's over. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But thank you, Donald and Marsha, for putting everything into perspective and always being willing to come on. Marsha, you're going to be on much more. So please get your.
I think she needs to move to Jamaica.
That, or I could move to Barbados and host it from there.
We welcome you. We welcome you.
Yeah, I just need to sort out my passport and my finances, but I'll be there. All right. So thank you guys so much. Please have a great weekend. Have a great rest of the year. And 2023, we'll be back again.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So Donald Smith there and Marsha Boyce are two great track and field analysts. Please to check them out on social media everywhere. Follow them. And that's it. Track and field season is over. I sound disappointed, don't. It sounds so disappointing to say. But yeah, that's also the end of the show, by the way. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in on YouTube and Facebook, on the radio, through the app, or online. We'll be back again next week. I will see what we talk about. But we always have things to talk about because it is sports talk. So we'll find it. Thank you again so much. Until then, please stay safe and enjoy your weekend.